And how do we know it's a lymph node?
That's my next thing. So
What
how
its
do you know it is
features?
there's a couple things. One is that you see it has a outside that's dark and inside that's light. Okay, so you have your cortex and medulla.
Yeah.
The other trick is, if you look carefully, these black circles that you see, those are in lymph tissue. So they have this kind of black. So if I zoom in on those, I think is this one here. It's hard to see, but you can make out that black and white. They call it a follicle. So lymph tissue all has this kind of ring effect. If I go to Boston's site, which is a little better, if I do, I think this is one here. Yeah, hold on. Well, there's an example, but let me go back. That's a close-up of the ring. So all lymph tissue would have this, they call it a follicle, a ring in some part with a light center. They call it the germinal center in a follicle. And a lymph node, the rings are in the cortex, the outside. And the inside, the medulla, doesn't have the rings.
It's not like adrenal.
Just like an adrenal gland, but with a ring. So that's same kind of logic, though. Is you have your capsule, which is the, back to JDoc.
It's a fibrous CT or...
Yeah, so here you have your capsule, which is this outer fibrous CT kind of covering. There's a space, then you have your cortex, and then you have medulla. And then the names change depending on which level you're in. So if you're the white lines in the cortex, you're called trabeculae. If you're the white lines in the medulla, you're called the cord. And then if you're the big space, you're called the sinus. So this would be your sinus here, this big, and the little dimple is called a hilum or hilus,
Like
the kidney being a notch.
It's like
So,
a kidney.
right.
So these are cords.
Yes,
These are
trabeculae.
trabeculae, ducts, or sinuses.
So sinus would be basically from here to somewhere, wherever that doesn't count really officially.
And the lymph goes in.
Lymph would basically, you can't see it, but somewhere there'd be a lymph vessel coming in, kind of dumping it. It kind of oozes its way from the outside and then drains in. And
Into the trabeculae.
yeah,
and then
trabeculae to here,
Cords.
to
To
here.
the sinus.
To
and then it
sinus.
goes away clean
And then hilum,
before.
Hilum or
Hilum.
hilus.
hilus.
Like a little filter.
So all your lymph tissue organs would have those parts. The difference is, lymph node, you have that distinct ring thing. What changes with the spleen is the circles are everywhere. They're not in a ring. So in the spleen, the follicles are scattered. Also, you get this reddish color. Not always. That's called. If I go
So what's
to
the function of the circles?
those are where your white blood cells live.
Okay.
So here's a really far away spleen, but you can see the circles are everywhere. So they're not in a ring. That tells you spleen versus lymph node. But that's where your B cells are going to live, are in the rings. So, and then the other trick in a spleen is the naming of the stuff. If you're the stuff between the circles, you're called red pulp.
Okay.
If you're stuff in the circles, you're called white pulp, because normally it's white, but it can't be any color. So basically, red, non-red. So it's red or white. Has the same kind of build. The other trick is a tonsil and a thymus. So I'll do thymus first. Thymus looks like a lymph node. The trick is it has these big white lines, which are called septa, walls. So it's broken in these big chunks like that. So if I go to Boston, they have a nice one. Thymus. You can sort of make out those white lines are pretty big. So those are your septa. You have the same.
That looks like a steak.
Yeah, well, yes, it does.
Lots of body parts look like steak.
That one particularly looks like a nice T-bone steak.
So you can see how there's these kind of big breaks. They would be trabeculae in anything else, but they're called septa in the thymus, and that's what makes it unique. But you still have the ring structure, the follicles. So this is cortex, this is medulla, but each one's broken into a room called a lobule. So here you have one lobule of cortex and medulla, another lobule here. So it looks like a lymph node that's broken into rooms. But the septa are the magic of a thymus. So you have a lymph node, which is the rings on the outside. Spleen have rings everywhere. And then thymus has a septum, septa. That leaves our last little beast, which is a tonsil. Why aren't you working? I don't know why you're not working. Used to work.
It's going.
Let's try these aren't the best pictures. I know they have a better one. Come on, you can do it. See if I'll find a tonsil. The thing about tonsil, what makes it unique is it's like a lymph node that's been folded in half, so it makes a U kind of thing.
So it's probably got that hilum.
It's it kind of would look like a hilum, but it's actually called a crypt in a tonsil.
Okay.
But you take a lymph node and you just kind of bend it, so you have these cortexes that go like that. There we go. So you can see the rings being lymphoid, but instead of being a nice, typical thing, you have this big hole because you bent it. That's the crypt. You have the same follicles and germinal centers that you do all of them. So the key to knowing the four organs is just knowing where the circles are. Ring, your node, everywhere your spleen, wall is your thymus, bent over like that.
So identify this organ.
Yes, and then